Hello, I'm Nadia Nazir and you're watching tvsarawak.com. These are the headlines. Sharifah Hasidah Said Aman Ghazali has urged Sarawak Muslim women to work together and focus on the bigger issues to make a positive difference to the Islamic community. The Guro City Office and Guro Gu chapter of Seoul Chamber of Commerce and Industry from Korea called on Kuching City South Council. Minister of Local Government and Community Development Datuk Sri Wong Soon Koh told the city planners to bear in mind about village ethics when implementing projects in urban areas. Political Secretary to the Chief Minister, Sharifah Hasidah Said Aman Ghazali, has urged Sarawak Muslim women to work together and focus on the bigger issues to make a positive difference to the Islamic community instead of nitpicking at the little things. She urged Muslim women to come together to help the poor people in their midst so that they too could live a better life. She said this at a Korban program organised by Sarawak Federation of Women Institutes. She also said that the strength of an association like PPWS was derived from its high-spirited and committed members. She added that she was proud to learn that the association has some 13,000 members across Sarawak, and she hoped it will continue to recruit more quality members who do not complain about the little things but are committed and united to develop and enhance the association and the communities. The Guro City Office and Guro Gu chapter of Seoul Chamber of Commerce and Industry from Korea called on Kuching City South Council yesterday. The Korean delegation came after the council had signed a friendship agreement with Guro City Office in 2012. The delegation of 10 that is here from October 7th to the 10th aims to interact and exchange ideas with business people here for possible collaboration and business opportunities. They will see Chief Minister Datuk Patinggi Tan Sri Adnan Satim, several commercial organisations, and Second Minister of Resource Planning and Environment, who is also Minister of Public Utilities and Industrial Development, Datuk Amar Awang Tengah Ali Hassan. The group visited Kuching Chinese General Chamber of Commerce and Industry after meeting MBKS Mayor Datuk James Chan at his office in MBKS building. They visited Sarawak Timber Industry Development Corporation and Sarawak Cultural Village. Guro City Office Director General of Planning and Economic Bureau, cum Head of Delegation Kim Jae-soon, who was also at the meeting, said they would bring more business people to Kuching on their next visit. It is essential that city planners to bear in mind about village ethics when implementing projects in urban areas to create the bond of friendship and sense of belonging among their residents. Minister of Local Government and Community Development, Datuk Sri Wong Soon Koh, gave this advice yesterday when officiating a seminar on socially and culturally vibrant cities and towns for Northern Sarawak organised by his ministry and Angkatan Zaman Mansang. Such spirit of good neighbourliness, which can be nurtured through recreational, sports and cultural activities, he added, would augur well for community bonding, social cohesion and solidarity. With the state facing issues of ageing population, independent-minded youth and other pressures in urban centres, he said his ministry welcomed ideas and feedback from the public as inputs to help craft quality and inclusive community development policies and programs. On another matter, he said Sarawak has progressed by leaps and bounds physically, economically and socially, and his ministry had been tasked with community development, which included programs related to culture, youth and sports. Youth involved in social problems are under control and the number has not reached an alarming level, said Serian District Police Chief DSP Chung Aik Peng. Serian has a population of 120,000, out of which 40,000 are aged 18 to 45. According to him, the common offences are taking drugs and alcohol, illicit sex, smoking and riding motorcycle without license. He said West Kalimantan border is a wide area with drugs trafficking inside the state only. The imbibing of alcohol was a local culture, not because it can be procured cheaply from a neighbouring country, he pointed out. Sports activities are the best medium to keep youth away from social ills, DSP Chung pointed out. Serian District Officer Cindy Muling, who was present, said they hope to invite 6 schools to send their students for the program organised by Serian District Office through its Social Work Committee, collaborating with government agencies in Serian. Moving on to Malaysian news. Civil servants must enhance their knowledge and rise to the challenges of the rapidly changing global landscape, said Permodalan Nasional Berhad Chairman and former Chief Secretary to the Government, Tun Ahmad Sarji Abdul Hamid. With constant scrutiny from the public on the quality of their work and the growing demand from clients, civil servants yesterday could not afford to rest on their laurels, he said. Instead, they need to improve to perform their jobs fast, efficiently and effectively, and at the same time, the government must emphasize a knowledge-driven civil service. In an exclusive interview with Bernama in conjunction with the upcoming conference of the Commonwealth Association of Public Administration and Management, Tun Ahmad Sarji said Malaysia had excellent national transformation policies to spur the country forward, and it was pertinent for civil servants to equip themselves well to complement and make these policies a success. He said the government had put in place the right measures and policies to boost public sector competitiveness and inculcate the right values in civil servants. These include setting up the Malaysian Institute of Integrity and revamping the Malaysian Anti-Corruption Commission. On a related issue, Tun Ahmad Sarji suggested the need for a better reward and punishment system in the public service as an encouragement for civil servants to rise to the challenges. He said civil servants who performed exceedingly well should be rewarded, while those who were found guilty of flouting rules should be punished severely. He said that in this aspect, the government could emulate the private sector's principle in rewarding deserving employees. Government departments and agencies need to intensify and increase its online services to strengthen the integrity of the public service, said Public Service Director General Tan Sri Muhammad Zabidi Zainal. He said the approach aimed to reduce face-to-face customer service or any chance of leakages. Therefore, he reminded civil servants to observe the work procedure outlined under the Public Service General Orders Conduct and Discipline 1993. Admitting that some civil servants lacked integrity, Tan Sri Muhammad Zabidi said, however, this could not be generalized for the whole public service. Meanwhile, he hoped improvement on online services and awareness on work procedure would increase integrity and quality of work among the 1.5 million civil servants. He said JPA Management Apprenticeship Program was proof of the government's commitment and concern in providing a career path for sponsored students to return and work in Malaysia. The program was attended by 294 JPA-sponsored graduates who completed their studies in the United Kingdom and United States this year. The program also aims to remind graduates their responsibility to fulfill their contract with the government and ensure all overseas graduates serve the country. Hewlett Packard will invest over 1 billion ringgit to set up a manufacturing facility to produce printer heads for high-speed inkjet printers. Sources in the electronic industry said that HP would sign a deal with the state government by the end of this month to acquire a property estimated to be about 20.2 hectares in Batu Kawan, Penang, to set up the plant which would produce the integrated circuit die used in the head of high-speed inkjet printers with imported wafer. It is learned that the plant would engage over 1,000 workers and generate outsourcing jobs, particularly for the local small and medium enterprises involved in precision tooling and metal fabrication businesses. The plant is in line with HP's plan to open a new graphic solution center of excellence and expand its ink manufacturing facility in Singapore, which is scheduled to open next year. In June, Penang Chief Minister Lim Guan Eng said Penang could expect another wave of investments from HP and Seagate in the manufacturing sector soon. Lim had also said the multinational corporations, MNCs, would be enhancing their investments in the state. In August, Lim said the US MNC Seagate would invest 1.05 billion ringgit in Penang. Seagate, which manufactures hard disks and provides data storage solutions, would purchase 40 acres with the option to purchase another 30 acres at the Batu Kawan Industrial Park. The Ministry of International Trade and Industry is optimistic that trade growth this year will surpass the 4.7% achieved last year, propped up by the bright prospects of world economic growth. Its Minister, Datuk Sri Mustafa Mohamad, said despite the European economy remaining sluggish and China's slowing economic growth, other trade destinations still show bright prospects. He said among the trade destinations which showed positive outlook were Japan, whose economy is expanding, the recovering economy of the United States, while the ASEAN economy continued to be fine. Malaysia's total trade in August 2014 increased to 123.90 billion ringgit from the 118.58 billion ringgit recorded in the same month last year. Exports in August expanded 1.7% year-on-year to 63.88 billion ringgit, while imports surged 7.6% to 60.02 billion ringgit. Meanwhile, on Budget 2015 wish list, Mustafa said he hoped that the budget, which will be tabled by the Prime Minister, Datuk Sri Najib Tun Razak, on Friday, would provide facilitation of trade and investment inflows. He also hoped that the budget would stimulate the growth of the small and medium enterprises, as well as lighten the people's burden, which is the main objective of the budget every year. Let's take a look at the global front. France will introduce plain cigarette packaging in 2016, Health Minister Marisol Touraine said on Wednesday, as the country seeks to stub out high smoking rates in under 16. Following the successful introduction of plain packs in Australia, which the government there says has reduced consumption, Touraine announced a raft of measures last month to tackle the scourge of smoking, which kills 200 people a day in France. One of the main planks of the strategy was plain packaging, which should be in tobacconists at the beginning of the year 2016, the minister told French radio. France has one of the highest rates of under-16 smokers in Europe, and in addition to the plain packaging measures, Touraine also announced that smoking would be banned in playgrounds and in cars with passengers under 12. In 2012, Australia forced all cigarettes to be sold in identical olive brown packets, bearing the same typeface and largely covered with graphic health warnings. Touraine's plan is to ensure cigarette packs are the same shape, same size, same color, same typeset, to make smoking less attractive to young smokers. Unlike Australia, however, French brands will remain on the packets, but limited to a very discreet and defined size, always on the same place on the packet, according to the plan. Touraine also announced the banning of popular electronic cigarettes in certain public places. Smoking is the main cause of death in France, with 73,000 people dying each year of tobacco-related illnesses. Approximately 13 million people smoke in France every day, out of a total population of around 66 million. US and coalition warplanes kept up bombing raids on Islamic State jihadists near the Syrian border town of Kobane on Wednesday, as America's top military officer acknowledged difficulties in tracking the militants from the air. The US military said American-led forces carried out 6 air raids near the contested town in a 24-hour period in an attempt to help Kurdish militia defending Kobane from an offensive by the IS group. IS militants have been closing in on Kobane for days, but Kurdish forces, backed by US-led air power, reportedly managed to roll back IS militants out of several neighborhoods amid heavy fighting overnight. The chairman of the US Joint Chiefs of Staff, General Martin Dempsey, said coalition aircraft were bombing the IS group whenever possible, but the militants were often concealing their movements. He indicated that the IS militants were more difficult to track as they were staying off of mobile phones or other devices that could be monitored. Washington's air campaign, launched in Iraq on August 8th and extended into Syria on September 23rd, was designed to halt the advance of the IS group to buy time to build up moderate rebel forces in Syria and Baghdad government and Kurdish troops in Iraq. Thomas Eric Duncan died in a Dallas hospital 10 days after he was admitted, and despite receiving an experimental drug to fight off the illness. He was the first person diagnosed with Ebola in the United States. Washington stepped up airport screening against the often fatal virus, and the World Health Organization sought to contain concerns of a wider outbreak in Europe after a Spanish nurse was infected. The world's largest outbreak of Ebola has killed 3,865 people out of 8,033 infected so far this year, mainly in Liberia, Sierra Leone, and Guinea, according to WHO's latest count. The spillover of the virus, with the first diagnosis in United States and the first case of infection in Spain, has raised fears of contagion in the West. WHO Regional Director Susanna Jakob said sporadic cases in Europe were unavoidable, but the risk of a full outbreak was extremely low. Meanwhile, 2 people were hospitalized in Los Angeles and Dallas for possible exposure to Ebola. In the Los Angeles case, the person had no symptoms but did have a travel history to Liberia that led to the patient's evacuation by ambulance from the airport, the Centinela Hospital said. A new geological fault capable of generating a 7.1 magnitude earthquake has been found in Wellington, confirming the New Zealand's capital's status as one of the world's most seismically active cities, scientists revealed. Geologists from the official NIWA research agency said the Aotea fault began on the floor of Wellington Harbour and was believed to extend through the central city and southern suburbs. NIWA marine geologist Philip Barnes said there was evidence that the most recent earthquake caused by the fault occurred about 6,200 years ago, and it was impossible to know if another trembler was overdue. New Zealand Prime Minister John Key said it was fanciful to suggest the country's capital should be moved because of the quake threat. GeoNet earthquake geologist Russ Van Dissen said the latest discovery was just one of dozens of active faults crisscrossing the Wellington terrain, the biggest capable of generating an 8.5 magnitude tremor. He said the city's existing building codes should deal with any quake from the new fault. New Zealand, known colloquially as the Shaky Isles, lies on the boundary of the Australian and Pacific tectonic plates, forming part of the so-called Ring of Fire, and experiences up to 15,000 tremors a year. In 2011, a devastating 6.3 magnitude quake on a previously unknown fault on the South Island city of Christchurch killed 185 people, one of the nation's deadliest disasters of the modern era. Wellington was the scene of the country's most powerful earthquake in 1855. That 8.2 magnitude jolt changed the city's entire geography, pushing the shoreline out 200 meters as it thrust the harbour floor upwards, but only caused 4 deaths. And that's all for now. We'll be back tomorrow with more news, and there'll be a special discussion on Budget 2015 with our economist, Professor Datuk Dr. Abdul Razak bin Abdul. I'm Nadia Nazir, signing off.